had this nice shirt probably since I was like, ain't no telling, because it's a hole right here, it's a hole right here. I've had this nice shirt for a long ass time, like probably since I was probably 12 when I've had this. Like I've had it ridiculous long amount of time. Hey, Shamanica. Okay, so look, good morning, Kodak. Okay, so today's topic, because I really felt the need to talk about this, only because I didn't really realize how many people struggle with this, and I didn't realize how many people that's my age go through so much, and they don't have an outlet or don't know who to talk to, or they don't have someone to talk to. Come through, I'm in the A. Yes, we can definitely meet. So I went out with one of my friends yesterday. Well, a couple of my friends yesterday. And, of course it started out being just like a hangout. It was kind of like a celebration. I had a kickball game yesterday. We won. And after, of course, the drinks sit in, everybody's kind of drunk. And I'm talking to my friend and I'm like, listening to her story, I'm kind of like, damn, I didn't really realize so many people deal with heavy hitters. Like, and when I say heavy hitters, I'm talking about issues that they're just not comfortable talking about with other people. So this morning, I'm texting my other friend, and I've known her since high school. And in the midst of it, she's just like, well, Christina, to be honest with you, like, me and her are really similar because this is the same way that I deal with things. It's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. And I'm like, that's not really how you deal with problems. That's not really how you get through a problem. And she was like, well, it's been working for years. And I'm like, yeah, but it's the baggage and the weight that you're emotionally carrying around isn't healthy. So I'm like, in the midst of talking to her, I'm like, okay, I hear what you're saying, and I understand that like, this is the way that you deal with things, but this isn't healthy. Like, you haven't figured out any coping mechanisms to get you through, like, your day-to-day. You legit are, like, pushing everything that you're dealing with under a rug. Well, my struggle, me personally, my own personal struggle, I've always struggled with being vulnerable. And I didn't realize how many people struggle with vulnerability. Now that I'm talking to my friends and I'm really trying to I'm not trying to master the whole vulnerability thing. I'm just trying to work on it for me. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm working on it for this person or working on it for anything else. It's legit. I'm working on this whole vulnerability thing for me because, I'm a Scorpio. So us Scorpios feel like, oh, girl, let's hide everything. You know what I'm saying? And it's not even intentionally. It's just like, oh, let's bury it all under all these layers of being mean and let's see who really tries to figure us out. Well, I'm past that. Like, I don't know. I just feel like after I hit 30, a lot of things just came up. And I'm like, okay, you deal with this totally wrong. Like, that's not healthy. So the more that I'm talking to, like, my friends, I'm like, damn, you deal with this shit the same fucking way. The only difference is that they're not in the position or they're not mentally in that place to be like, okay, let me change how I look at this. Hey, Peachy. Hey, Savage. Hey, Brandy. Hey, Crystal. Hey, Shamanica. Hey, Shan. Oh, shit. It's my kitchen. So I just feel like a lot of us aren't really in the place to, like, deal with it. So I had no clue. Like, this is my thing. Like, I legit had no clue that so much of us, legit struggle. Hey, Tony, legit struggle with this. And I don't have the answers. Like, I legit don't have the answers. Like, I fight myself every day. I fight myself all the time. And when I'm in a position where I'm just like, ooh, this is so uncomfortable emotionally, I'm like, all right, but what exactly is making it uncomfortable? Like, I legit go back and I dig and I'm like, why exactly are you uncomfortable? Do you feel like if you answer this question, like, they're going to know more about you? Okay, so what if they do know more about you? Like, what the hell they gonna do? Take the information and blow up the world? Like, what could possibly happen? So now, like, I'm going back and I'm digging. I'm trying to figure these things out. And I'm wondering, like, what conversations can I really have with my friends that are like, look, if you're walking hey, Savage. Okay, so you didn't miss a lot. The conversation that I'm having right now is more so along the lines of I'm realizing how much we deal with as I consider myself a millennial, as how much we deal with as millennials and how wrong we deal with those situations. Like, and it's not, I don't want to say so wrong. Like, I'm speaking of it in terms of if you've dealt with hurt, if you've dealt with pain, if you've dealt with betrayal, how are you dealing with those emotions? Like, how have you legit been dealing with them? Are you just suppressing them and just like, oh, whatever, out of sight, out of mind? Eventually it'll get better? Or are you legit finding ways to cope with these things? Because I feel like a lot of us aren't. I really do feel like a lot of us aren't. Like, for me, I started therapy probably about, when did we go to therapy? I started therapy probably about 3 years ago. I was in a relationship, and the relationship, it wasn't toxic per se, but while I was in a relationship, we had toxic habits in the past. And I mentioned, like, I've had this nightshirt for, like, years, since I was, like, 12. And it's my favorite one. And it's legit. I've had this nightshirt since Barbados. And it makes me feel really comfortable as to why I have it on. So don't judge me. But even if you do, I really don't even care. Because, hell. So, yeah, that's what we're talking about. And I had a situation yesterday. And I'm texting my friend now. And I'm realizing, like, a lot of us deal with things so... like, we deal with stuff in a toxic way. We deal with things in a toxic manner. Like, we think we're doing better for ourselves, but really and truly, I really think that we're digging a deeper hole. Because I'm talking to my friend, and she's just like, I don't have anybody that I can just go to and talk to. I don't have anybody that I can trust with this information. And in my mind, I'm like, well, what exactly are you, like, what can they do with the information? If somebody... See, and I feel like that's a defense mechanism, too. Like, just being nonchalant about things. I'm really nonchalant, too. I can be nonchalant. By nature, I'm supposed to be emotional because I am a Scorpion, because I am a water sign. But I'm also a fixed sign. And outside of that, my moon is in Aquarius, so I'm not emotional. Like, I'm very logical. I will sit and I will try to figure some shit out. And if it doesn't make sense to me, like why we're crying or why you're crying or why you feel the way that you do, I legit will try to make sense out of it. Like, okay, let's bring this back. Why are we here? How did we get here? What are you feeling? What are you going through? I have those conversations and I ask those questions because if you're just crying, like, and I'm like, ugh, it makes me uncomfortable because I don't know where these tears are coming from. Now, if I can look at you and I understand, like, hey, my mother, father, brother, sister, cousin died. Okay, cool. I can process that and I can be like, all right, I understand this pain. I have never felt it, but I understand it and I get it. But then it gets to a point, too, with me that I'm like, okay, I understand the pain. I get it. But months down the line, I'm kind of like, okay, so how are you dealing with this pain? Like, are you just, whenever this wave of emotion comes over you, like you're crying, you break down, and your whole life stops? Because at that point, I feel like this is no longer healthy. This is no longer healthy, and I'm not telling anybody how to cope with a death because by no means can I tell you that. I haven't had someone die close to me since 2014, and that was my grandmother. I boohoo cried even before she passed away because I knew this was about to happen. And even when I boohoo cried, it wasn't like a regret of, I wish we were closer, I wish I talked to her more, it wasn't even one of those. It was just kind of like, man, like, this person that was influential into my life, and she might not even necessarily know, is literally on her last leg of life, and I won't ever be able to see her again. I processed that emotion, and I was just like, damn. But I also know that she's no longer in pain. She's going to a better place. If that's what the afterlife is, I just choose to believe that. Even if your afterlife isn't per se, hey, I'm going here, I'm going to be, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to be in heaven, or I'm going to be in hell. Like, even if that's not the afterlife, that's fine. But for my own sanity, I'm like, she's in a better place. Maybe before she left, she couldn't walk, or she was in pain, or waking up every day was painful. Now that you're gone, you're no longer in that pain. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just prefer to deal with that stuff that way. So to me, I'm like, when I think of her, I might get sad because I remember a time where one day I was going to work and I was listening to, it was a Jamie Foxx song. What is the song? I think it's a song that he wrote to his grandmother or his mother or whoever. And I remember being in the Dunkin' Donuts line to get a coffee and I was boo-hooing. But I really also felt like in the midst of the process of her dying, I cried, but I didn't release. So after she was dead and gone, I felt like I honestly released it then. So now I'm like, listening to my friends and looking at my friends, and I'm just like, I don't really think you're dealing with this well. I don't really think you're coping. Like, I think you're going through the motions, and I think you're waking up every day, and you're like, all right, cool, I'm good. All right, if I just don't think about it, I'll make it through. And to me, I'm like, You have to think about it. If something pains you, if something hurts you, if something is bothering you, you have to think about it. And I stress going to therapy so much to my friends only because I feel this way. If your leg is broken, if your stomach hurts, you go to the doctor. If you have a cavity in your mouth hurts, you go to the dentist. If your vision is blurry, you go to the optician. Why is it so hard to go to a therapist if your brain is not functioning the way that you feel like it should be? If your feelings are out of whack? We as human beings take on so much every day. And it's like, I feel like as African Americans, they feel like we're supposed to be able to take it on. Why? Because we've been beat for majority of our like beginning existence. That's not okay. Because I feel like generationally, we've carried that. A lot of people be like, oh, slavery is dead. Oh my God, it's not like you were beat on. You're right. I personally was not lynched. I personally was not hung from a noose. However, if my greats were, and they passed that down to my, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's generationally passed down. And I truly, honestly do believe that emotions are passed through, what is it called? The umbilical cord. That's how I feel. It's almost like, hey, they tell you don't drink alcohol when you're pregnant. They tell you don't smoke when you're pregnant. They tell you don't do drugs when you're pregnant. But think about it. If my mom, while she was pregnant, is stressed out. If my mom, while she's pregnant, is sad. If my mom, while she's pregnant, is getting beat on. And you know what I'm saying? I'm going to feel those emotions the same way. The same way when she eats, I'm eating. If she's sad, I'm going to feel that. So now I'm born into this world where I'm like, I don't know nothing outside of this. And as a child, I can only imagine how that anxiety is. You have to think about those things. And I don't think we do. I don't think society thinks about them. I don't think that society makes it okay for us to even process shit like that. That is frustrating. And I'm sorry, y'all. This is definitely going to turn into a rant because this is exactly like as I'm breaking stuff down in my head, I'm talking about it.